Hey guys, it's Derek again. Up next would be Chapter 7, Where to Find Water. Um, as you know, Earth is actually covered in water. It's over 70% water, which is not hard to find. But I'm not talking about any type of water. I'm talking about drinking water. Um, and there's different ways of finding water, but not all of it's completely drinkable yet. Which would be a way of purifying water. Um, there are many ways of doing it. You actually have some stuff at like camping stores or um, outdoorsy stores. There's a handful out there that actually have um, stuff to purify water with, and it's easy. It's simple. There's iodine. There's water filtration systems. Um, and there's different ways of collecting water too. Up next would be the water supply. You want to make sure you have a good amount of water so you don't run short, but I will still ration it. Make sure you're drinking enough to stay hydrated, but not over drinking it so you run out and work against yourself that way. Um, Other than that, I'll be getting into a little more depth about it. Um, Up next will be mountains and forests. These two places actually have a abundance of water due to either glacial runoff from the mountain tops, or as in forests, you can tell how well the trees are growing and mostly the humidity. There are many ways to get water from forests. One, it would be like a rain collection. Another would be um, vegetation tap, which I'll explain that more throughout our videos and um, stuff like that. Along with mountains, with that's actually mostly freshly water due to the fact of ice melting and running through rock, which is a natural filtration system, which you'll notice by how sweet it tastes. Um, Up next would be vegetation clues, which would be like little plants growing here and there, like in deserts. There you'll find cactuses. If you see it's very round and full, then that's absolutely full of water. If you notice it, it's like ridged. Excuse me, like you got some sides poking out, some poking in, and it's very dry, and they won't yield much water, if any water at all. It depends on what kind of cactus you're looking at. If you're looking at like the bulbous cactus, like the ones you see in the cartoons, where they're standing straight up and rounded, those are the ones to look for. The needles are its actual natural defense, so that way nothing can really like steal it or kill it or anything like that. Um, but you can still tap into the water source. Um, Up next would be the arid country. I'm not talking about the air you breathe or anything like that. I'm talking more about like desert country, or where it's very, very dry, um, hardly any water at all. The only way you can find water if you happen to be in the rainy season, which isn't very long. Um, Other than that, it's usually very dry, and you'd want to carry a little more water than you normally would in those areas, due to the fact that you can be very easily dehydrated. Up next would be the bird and animal signals, which I don't know if you guys could have heard, the bird chirping in the background, like right here. Um, Yeah, I got a little bird that's actually chirping just feet from me. And that tells me there's a little bird around, possibly some babies or anything like that. Which is a good sign that I can get food easily, and it's very lively around here. Up next would be desert hints. Um, it with that, it's you're basically in arid country again, where there's going to be a lot of sand, but there's also life out there too that happen to be able to live out there due to their um, lifestyles and what they can handle. Um, there's many different animals that live out there that can handle the heat and things like that, mostly, and snakes, unfortunately, but there's also other types of animals too. Um, Up next would be plant sources. Like I was saying earlier, you have cactus where you can find water there. Um, but there's also other sources like food, fruits, nuts, berries. Um, there are some type of roots that you can eat and that are very good for you. High in nutrients and things like that. Um, you can also get, if you're in the jungle, you can also tap into the vines, those plant-like ropes that go from tree to tree. They're connected to actually draw out water from the air, only because of how humid it is. But there's a few other things I'll get into too. That up next would be filtering desert water. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you can't find water in the desert. It doesn't rain there. It's too humid. It's too dry, or humid, too dry, too hot. Believe it or not, there is groundwater in the desert. It depends on how deep you dig. But you can find, if you dig deep enough down into the ground and find groundwater, and that is not completely drinkable due to it sitting, but it's very easy to filter through. Up next would be ground sources. With this, it's basically you'd have to dig to find what you need. Part of it would be groundwater, or um, plant life, or like finding food, like potatoes, carrots. Those are actually buried in the ground, depending on where you're at. Up next would be a survival still. I'm not talking about still that you can make alcohol with or anything like that. It's something that you tend to do. It's like, alright, we still have to go out and do this, but it's more one of those where it collects water, you boil it down, you get fresh water from it, and basically purifying it from heat. And that way you'll be able to be more sustained, go a little bit longer, and that way you'll be able to keep going at it and make it out to where you gotta go. Other than that, keep tuned. We'll post up more videos, and don't forget, Them Nature Boys. Find us on Facebook, on YouTube, and email us at themnatureboys@gmail.com. Thank you.